Hi everyone. So I'm sitting on the floor today just for a change of pace. Um, Usually when I'm going through like a sense of desperation or like I'm just like so exhausted with the day and like responsibilities and stuff like that, I'll start to get like lower and lower to the ground. Like first I start on the bed and then I'm like kneeling on the ground and I'm just like flat out lying on the ground listening to music and just like experiencing a torrential downpour of existential, that's the word I'm looking for, angst. Although it could be exponential as well. It just keeps increasing over time. Today's not that day. It's just, I don't know. Today's a sitting on the floor type of day. So I'm sitting on the floor and I am making a video for you guys that is partly inspired by something that I saw on Eric Silvermoon's, or one of Eric Silvermoon's videos last night. In this video, he talks about his experiences. It's one of his 30 Days of Magic videos. I think it's the 30th one. And in this video, he talks about his experience as a gay male witch. And you know, as a gay male in general within like the pagan community, and like how we fit into it. And I think one of the major themes within this video that he touched upon, he didn't really go as far into it as I'm about to, I don't think, but it was definitely there. But this sense of displacement that I think gay men within the witchy community experience, but possibly also within the community at large, because I definitely have experienced this in other places within my life. And I don't know whether or not this is specific to gay men, or if gay women experience this, or if bisexual men and women experience this. You know, I'm not sure if this is something that is specific and unique to gay men. But since I'm a gay man and I experience it, I can only speak from my perspective. So take what I'm going to say and with like a grain of salt. But yeah, so there is a sense of displacement, I think, within the pagan community if you are a gay man. And I think this comes from having like my hair is doing like the weirdest thing today, I don't know. But there is, I think, a weird balance of masculine and feminine energy within gay men. And I don't mean to say that in like some sort of stereotypical way, as in like all gay men are like overtly feminine or more feminine than straight men are, but I think like regardless of how you express your gender, yeah, it's not getting better, but okay. I think that regardless of like how you express your gender as a gay man, I think society is always going to see you as being effeminate. You could be like the biggest guy on the football team. You could be chugging down monsters and watching sports like 24 hours per day. But as soon as you come out as a gay man, like people are just going to see you differently. Other straight men are going to judge you, and a lot of them are going to be concerned about being around you. So yeah, and so it creates this like isolation from the men because you are effeminate, and most men don't appreciate femininity. They see it as weak, and I think in a lot of ways as something that's scary. You know, I talked in past videos about, I think about like reclaiming Christianity, about this fear that men have, like almost inherently, towards women and towards the feminine nature because of its connection to the birthing process, its connection to deity, to spirituality, to like that mystery of life and of death. That's inherent within men. I think it follows men even when it comes to people who are not women, but who are effeminate like women, or in their minds effeminate like women. And so that fear is still there with them. And so you get that rejection from the straight men, usually. Certainly there are straight men who are very accepting and you know, advocates of the community. But I think a large part of the straight male community does have this fear. And so you get that rejection from them. And so as a gay man who is maybe a little bit more connected to their feminine side than most men are, you kind of gravitate towards feminine energy and, women's symbols and things like that. And I think that's why a lot of gay men are attracted to paganism and attracted to witchcraft in particular, because of the large amounts of female imagery and this of the power symbols, the woman and female power symbols inherent within that religion. You have the archetype of the witch, you have the goddess language, you have all these things that just scream female empowerment. And I think gay men, from the time that we're young, we're told to hide that part of ourselves. And as you get older, it happens more and more often as you start to mature, as you go through puberty, and you start to look more like a man, but you still have these tendencies that are a bit more feminine. And you constantly have people who are telling you, well, that's wrong, that's a weird way to act if you're a man, or you should be more masculine, all these different things. And so you have two choices as a gay male who has experienced that. You can attempt to try to hide all the things that are associated with your feminine nature, or you embrace them completely. For some, it's impossible to hide. For me, it was very difficult to hide my feminine tendencies. And so I had to embrace them because they weren't going anywhere. I had to learn to love that side of myself. And that was part of my process of, getting into this spirituality and into this path. But no matter how feminine you are as a man, and specifically as a gay man, you are still a man. And so in that way, you're still excluded from some of these feminine circles and feminine communities that are made up of women, which is in some ways understandable, because being a man, whether you are gay or straight or whatever, it still comes with its specific privileges. Being a gay man has its specific oppressions, but you're still privileged, and I've experienced that privilege before, most specifically in the workplace, where I saw myself being praised for things that I saw a lot of other female coworkers doing just the same, or working just as hard as me, but I was getting the acknowledgments and the kudos, whereas they should have also been getting that. So I've experienced that privilege before, and me being a gay man doesn't cancel out that privilege. And so it's almost like, because of that privilege, it's like you have almost, I don't know if I want to say the worst of both worlds, because privilege can grant you a lot, but it's so you have the things that make women oppressed. As a gay man, you have those qualities, but because you're a man, you also have the privileges. So you're excluded from the group that has all of the privileges and are accepted even amongst each other, which is the men, but you're also excluded from the group who are the women, who don't share the same privileges with you, and so have maybe a disinclination towards you. They feel like you wouldn't be able to completely understand. So yeah. And it creates this level of displacement, I think, or this feeling of displacement within the individual. And especially, I think, if you are an individual who thinks very deeply about things, who experiences things on a very intellectual and emotional level, within this community, this LGBT community, which tends to be very sexual in a lot of ways. Eric was speaking about this too, where he would go into these groups that would claim to be pagan LGBT groups, but then he would get there and be a crazy sex party or something like that, where people were constantly trying to flirt. And it's sometimes it's just not what you're looking for. It's fine, but it'd be nice if there were other things that you could do within that community besides try to hook up. So in that way, you are kind of excluded from even your own community. So you're excluded from the straight men, and you're excluded from the woman, and you're excluded from the gay community, because it is very sexual, because we gain strength from our sexuality, which we should, but we also want more sometimes. and it's difficult to find that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how to fix that, or if I've like even explained it that well in this video. Hopefully you guys kind of get what I'm saying here. But it's a difficult situation to be in, I think, if you are a gay man, working within this community. It almost creates a little bit of an identity crisis there. So yeah, I mean, it's just something to think about, and it's something that I've been struggling with and like thinking about myself. I think also another aspect of it is that within some of the books that we read and within the language, just within this community, the language is often very heteronormative of like the goddess and the god, and the biological processes of birth. It's very prevalent. And so that's also excluding. So there's just a lot of exclusion, I think, and I think we could strive, all of us together, to be more inclusive of with our language and with our practices. So yeah, that's something to think about. And thank you guys for listening to me, and hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.